You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers, about hikers, for everybody.
This is the Hammock Hangers Podcast, where we hang out and talk about everything from hammocks and hammock camping to the group hangs from around the country. All right, you guys, welcome back to the Hammock Hangers Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Collins, or also known as Skunkape, and I have my trusty sidekick, AJ Glenn, or Phoenix, here with me as well.
Oh, you call me trusty. That means the world to me, Paul. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
how y'all doing, everybody?
I make up stuff all the time. So, all right, this week we have another awesome cottage vendor on with us. His name is Steve Hazel. He is the owner of Hang Tight Shop. So welcome to the podcast, Steve.
Hey, thanks a lot. I'm sorry I don't have a nickname.
We can come up with one for you.
I'm afraid of that. I've already heard the banter before, so let's just leave it with Steve. Just stick with Steve.
We'll just keep it as Steve, huh?
Yeah.
So whenever Paul has sent me your name and whenever we've contacted back and forth, just by looking at your name, kind of just glancing, I'm a big Sister Hazel fan. So every time I see your name, in my head I read Sister Hazel. I was like, no, that's Steve.
So he might call you sister throughout the podcast.
Yeah, if you throw back to some classic music of my time, it's people call me Purple Haze. So
okay, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. All right. Well, let's go ahead and just dive right on in and tell us all a little bit about yourself and your journey into camping and how all that got started.
Well, that journey goes back a long way, and actually my family, Hazel family, can talk quite a bit, so you've gotten yourself into a load of trouble with this podcast. But it started when I was a kid. My dad we went hiking, and he was big into canoeing, and so he had several Sawyer canoes, the Kevlar canoes, when they were first coming out, and I think Kruger was in with Sawyer canoes. And my brother got into doing later in life. He did the Kruger Challenge a couple times, which is, if I remember right, it's canoeing across Michigan.
Okay.
So one river, and there's a 2 or 3 mile portage in the middle near Gaylord, and then you canoe the rest of the way to the Lake Michigan. So, but I did a bunch of camping with my family and my dad at the time, and then I don't know, we just naturally got into camping, and somewhere when my kids were teenagers, which is a while ago now, we went hiking, and my brother was big into being ultralight, and he called himself an ounce weenie, because he cared about every ounce. And so we borrowed his gear, and teenage kid, my son, 16, I hope he doesn't listen to the podcast, but he wasn't real careful with stuff. Teenagers.
Exactly.
And,
yep, I know how mine is.
Yeah, and me as a younger father at the time, I was just like, these are Uncle Andy's, and if you ruin these things, I'm out $1,000. It's $300 for that one, $250 for that one. Don't even let them touch the ground. So I got into we just camped a ton. Matter of fact, my brother made it mine, but there's a Uncle Steve semi-annual canoe and kayak adventure, which is Usaka.
Okay.
So every other year we do Usaka with the kids when they're teenagers. So we got into it a lot. And I got into hammocking then because I took the whole family out, and we did the Manistee River Trail with the family. And with the family and all the gear, my wife included. She's like gear, Josh and I were carrying 50 pounds on our pack.
Oh, wow.
And that's a lot.
Right.
That's way too much.
Yes.
And that's what broke me. And after that, we got into hammocking and borrowing my brother's stuff and onward and upward. So
your brother was a hammock camper prior to?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he big time. He got into, and he still is. He's into all of it. Like I said, he's done a couple hundred mile stretches. I don't know. I went and did a couple sections with him, and he tricked a friend into doing a piece with him. He's very much into it. He hasn't done the Appalachian, although he's done a couple chunks of it. But he got me into it all the time.
Okay.
And I just couldn't borrow his gear anymore, so I got into getting my own gear.
Gotcha. So did you and your family all still go out together and go hiking and everything?
Yeah, my son does a lot with me. My daughter, when she got in her teens, we had to go more towards the glamping side. And in 2013, my daughter and I built a teardrop camper.
I saw those videos.
Yeah, did you really?
Yep,
yeah,
yep,
that connected
yep.
to my YouTubes now. Jeez.
Yep.
Yeah, so we built that sucker in just 62 days or something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was turning out epic. You know, we didn't know it was going to be that epic. She
Right.
designed it, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, I had a kit plan. And you know how you do on my iPad. I just had all these kits of things.
Right.
I've built canoes and kayaks and other things for fun. And I'm like, I want to build this teardrop. And I don't know. Cammie said something like doesn't look good. It's not pretty enough or something. It's not. There's. So she redesigned the whole thing. And as a matter of fact, I was on with my brother on the phone trying to figure out the curves. And I'm like, Andy, I cannot figure out how to draw the ellipse of this teardrop because, you know, Cammie wants it this size now at the same height as the car. And so if it's this height and it's going to be that long, how's my ellipse go?
Right.
She had it all graphed out on paper while I was talking to my brother, who was an actuarial. And she goes, here, Dad. And I'm like, you can't just draw that. And she goes, it's to scale. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's right. so I said, never mind, Andy. Click. That's when we had phones, you know, regular phones. So, so we built that and we went to the Grand Canyon with it just because we decided we should do something epic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we did that. So it was glamping with the girls, to answer your question. The girls were glamping. So
okay.
They still go. She went to college up in the UP and we went hammock camping there a couple times. Okay. Once in the middle of the winter.
How'd you like that? Your face. Okay. The look you just had on your face, I wasn't quite sure which way that was going.
Also, it was the emphasis on the word once.
It was right on the shore of Lake Superior, and we hiked out in the middle of the day and hung up our hammocks, and everybody fell asleep right away. And I was already doing hang tight at that time, and I brought all the quilts, so I had everything, and popped it all out. And my son was there with his girlfriend, and my daughter was there with her boyfriend, and I was there with my wife, so 6 of us, and we fell asleep warm and toasty. It was great. It's one of my wife's most favorite memories, actually, was being up there. So
oh yeah,
okay. Yeah, but they slept in a yurt later on over the weekend, and I slept out in a hammock. I think I just watched a Shug video where he layered his quilts, and I'm like, I could do this. Doesn't matter if it's 10 below. I can do this.
So, there you go.
And I was warm. Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched a few of the videos with different camper builds and the teardrop thing, and it looks like something that, do I need this? Absolutely not. But this would be really, really cool.
Yeah.
To do.
Yeah, that's most of my builds. I build them mostly for the build is cool. It's like when I was a kid playing Micronauts. You set it all up. You know, Army guys, you set them all up. You think it's really cool. Then you're done. It's like, oh, that was great. I'm done.
Moving on.
So moving on. Yep. So I built that. We've used it a lot. We still have it, but the whole family, I just let anybody borrow it now because, just want to get it used, and it's a ton of fun. So we actually made the cover of Teardrop magazine.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
That's
there's
neat.
something to Google. Yeah.
So another one of our HangCon crew, he's actually made some teardrop campers. I think they made either 1 or 2, and they would go to these conventions. And I think they the last build that they did, they went away from like the teardrop and they went to the enclosed cargo trailer.
Yeah.
Kind of build, because there was 4 of them, so they were trying to do 4 in. I don't know.
You got to bust out of a teardrop at 4. Yeah.
4 people in a teardrop, but yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, they have them. We went to one of them, the Teardrop Gatherings, which is kind of like HangCon, I guess. I say that, but I've never been to a HangCon yet.
Need to make it down.
There's an easy way to fix that.
I know. I know. My son said he'd hook me up with a free flight, so.
Let's go, Steve.
Well, there you go.
I'm going to do it, yeah.
So 2024 is the year?
That should be the year, yeah. I could do that easily, yeah.
Awesome.
Right, awesome.
So. Yeah, he hangs a lot. Actually, he went to college at Western. My daughter went to college in the UP, which got us to Lake Superior and everything, pictured rocks and lots of nice hikes up there. It's gorgeous. And but he's the one that's interested in seeing like every single national park. I think he's up to 26 of them.
Oh wow.
He had a college buddy that worked for Delta.
Okay.
And he got free flights as if he's a partner.
That's pretty
cool.
So
you could be a second, so you can list anybody. And he liked it so much he went all over the place doing all these. He would just go with his hammock and if you looked at Instagram at all, those are all Josh's pictures of hang tight stuff and national parks, because he's the one that has that login and does all that. And he's been to 26 of them. And then his friend finally got married, dang it, and took him off. I know. I mean, college buddies are supposed to be forever.
Right.
You know?
Get your priorities straight.
Come on. It's like, bro, hang with me. Come on. But he cut him off because the girl wanted to, be able to travel. And so he got a job himself at Delta. So he's back on the gravy train again, flying all over the place.
Awesome. It sounds like when you get your son on the podcast.
Yeah, just about. I mean, he just went to Amsterdam, took a biked all over the place. He went to Switzerland. And he did both of those. Amsterdam was on purpose, although he did one of them on a lark. Thing is when you're flying standby, you have to wait, and if there's not an opening, you just look over at the next space and go, well, I'll get on that flight. That's literally what he does. So,
man,
it's crazy.
That sounds like really, really fun. I could do that. I don't know if my wife could do that.
Yeah,
I take that back. My wife could definitely do it.
You have to be willing to roll with it. You have to be willing and sleep wherever. Like he sleeps in his rental car. So one time he flew out and flew right back because there was some big event, I think in Maine or something, and all the rental cars were really expensive, and he has a limit what he'll spend. And he's like, nope, that's it. I'm going back. Not doing it.
I mean, I can relate to that. Like I used to work in the hotel industry and hospitality. And I know how much it costs a hotel to kind of rent. And I'm going to kill some hopes and dreams right now, but it costs a hotel about $6 to $13, depending on how nice the hotel is and what amenities. It costs them that much to rent one room per night. But like when you're getting 150, like my daughter, she just had a dance competition in Lakeland a couple weeks ago. And the cheapest hotel that we could find near the concert venue, it was like $170 a night, and that's like before tax and everything.
Right.
So
and all
we
the
ended
extra
up going
fees.
with like an Airbnb, and I mean that was still stupid expensive too. But I mean,
yeah,
it was ridiculous.
It breaks your heart, especially when it's even worse than that, and it's like a $119 hotel, and you're like, wait, $325? Really? Are you sure? I mean, I was just here 6 months ago. It was $119.
Yeah,
I'm not paying $325.
Oh, I remember when we would do because one of the hotels that I worked at was about maybe 30-40 minutes away from Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee.
Okay.
And twice a year you got NASCAR come through, and normally I want to say our rooms were about 119 a night, something like this. And this was a while back. And during race weekend, our rooms would go for $350 to $400 with a 3 or 4 night minimum. So they had to stay.
Gosh.
But you know what? The crazy people, we would be booked up literally the next day after the last day of race season for the following year. And so, I mean, there's some people out there that really love their NASCAR.
Yeah. I just can't do crazy money.
I spend a lot of crazy money on some things, but
I spend crazy money on some gear and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, but that's necessary. There's difference.
Right.
You get to keep it.
Yeah, you leave that hotel, you got nothing. And memories are not enough. Don't just try and tell me the pool was great. No, it wasn't.
Lies.
You do not want to know. I'll have that thing tested. You tell me how great it was.
I agree, 100%. So, like, whatever. Like, for example, when we paid for the the Airbnb for my wife and our daughter to go. I said, does this mean I get a new tarp? Like,
Yeah.
can I go somewhere and get a new tarp? I'll camp out. I will cowboy camp or I will primitive camp. But I can get I can get a new tarp a lot cheaper than this one hotel room.
That is really funny. Actually, it was that kind of mentality that got me doing hang tight stuff, because I bought. Well, we'll skip ahead just a little bit. I bought a kayak. I'm like, maybe you shouldn't have bought.
Right.
And I bought one of those Oru kayaks. URO. Do you know
Is that one of like the folding ones?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
okay.
they're really fun. They're awesome. I've got like 3 of them now. So, so I got that, and I got some other camping gear. But when I got that was the thing that it didn't. The straw that could have broke the camel's back, but it didn't. And my wife said, "Well, how are you going to pay for that?" I said, "That's okay. I'm just going to quilt it away. I can do that. That's only like 20 quilts. I can do that." I don't know. Whatever it was, at the time I had been making some and selling them on Facebook and eBay at the time. And
Okay.
I used it to buy gear. Anytime I needed gear, I'd sell gear to get more gear. So
That's the way to do it.
like more. Yeah, she couldn't.
There might be a reason that I tutor 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess how I got away with a lot of gear. It's a tip. That's a tip for everybody.
I've already determined that Steve and I are gear soulmates.
Yeah.
Just with different aspects of it. But yeah.
When she says you buy another hammock, we'll say, but I sold a tarp. And she'd be like, well, you bought 2 hammocks. I got a really good deal on those.
I got a really good deal. Yeah.
Right. One of them's small.
That's
It's small because it said sparrow. It's like this big.
that's AJ's go-to phrase. I got a good deal.
I got a good deal. She does the same thing, shopping. It's like 40% off. Off of what?
Exactly.
irrelevant.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We have season passes to Disney. I take it back. We have 4 members of our family. We have 3 passes to Disney.
The other one sits in the car and makes sure that the pop stays cold. Yeah, you. Okay.
I have Disney is the most miserable place on earth for me. So
Yeah.
but they love
Same
it.
here.
You do your thing. I'll go camp out.
I OD'd on Disney back in the day when the kids were kids, and I won some trips through work, and actually I got points. You know how you get points on things?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got points through work, and I'm like, oh, take the kids to Disney, and then I won like a weekend Masters whatever to Disney, and then the year thing, the event was at Disney, and I'm like, oh my god. It was 3 times in 1 year. Now your wife might have thought it was, even my wife said it was too much. We're exhausted, and honestly, we haven't been back since. But my kids are 30 and 26 now, so it's a
Okay.
little different. Yeah.
So my mentality for like theme parks was in my previous career, I went to this kind of intro or kind of promo event for this event that they do at Universal.
Okay.
A half-day event. And at the end, it was about 1 o'clock. They said, well, thanks for coming. We're going to give you tickets you can hop to either park. You can spend the rest of the time. The park we're going to keep the park open for you till 11 o'clock tonight. Just to go out and enjoy yourself. I left that concert, or left the event venue. I went over to the Harry Potter world. I got a butterbeer, and I walked my happy tail out.
That's it. I'm done.
I'm done. Too many people.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I can always tell when AJ's wife and kids go to Disney, because he'll always send a message, hey, anybody up for some camping this weekend? So, okay,
That's his time.
Yep, they're heading to Disney,
Either
so
camping or
AJ's heading to the
sewing.
woods.
That's usually my go-to. When they go out, that's when I usually sew. So
That's funny.
So when you do go out, we're getting back on like the camping thing now. Now I know that you mainly make like the quilts and stuff. So when you go out hiking and camping, what is your hammock that you normally use?
Well, for years I just used an 11-foot, anything hammock, Grand Trunk, or just
Okay.
about any hammock, and a tarp. And a lot of my stuff I would get from my brother is stuff he was getting rid of, So I always was very basic, and that's how my quilts started so basic too. I finally traded up to a Sparrow Dream hammock,
Okay.
And got a 10-foot one that's like that I love. I wish I could say the name of that one. I want to say it's a Superior, and it might be.
Bingo.
Yeah, I think it is. And I love them both, so they're awesome. Especially that 10-foot. I've always been in an 11-foot hammock.
Yep.
Any kind of double, whether it's a super cheap one or a nicer one. I had a hummingbird one that's super lightweight. Got recently. I love that. So I didn't need the whole integrated bug net, and I've been through a couple hand-me-down bug nets from my brother. He got into making them. He made one that gathers at the bottom, instead of zip, so you kind of get in it easy and whatnot. And we both have dogs and things, so it's kind of nicer to have them laying right there underneath anyway.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I've done those, but the Superior hammock that's a 10-footer, I just freaking love it. I haven't been out in it a lot yet, but I traded for it. So
you got a good deal. You got a good deal.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so real happy about it. But I don't really have a go-to one for my quilts and the Usaka stuff that we do on the Manistee River in Michigan. Spring, summer, and fall. I just took lightweight. You would call it it's modified a lot, and it's not out of it, but it's like made out of the Costco quilts. The hack. That's how it all started. Is made out of the Costco quilts.
Okay.
And but my favorite was a set that I'd made out of quilts I got from Dillard's, which is, if you're familiar with Florida,
yep,
it's like J.C. Penney's in Florida, I guess.
Yeah.
And they had, this was probably in 2016 or 17. They had that heat retention dots on it, the Mylar dots on one side. Yeah. And they had more fill in them, I can't remember if it was 650 or 700, but that was my set. That was my go-to set. I always used it all the time because it was plenty. I didn't even need a supplement for it. But I got into more. I don't take a much warmer one, and I've just recently come out with a I don't know, more of a niche one, and not much of a new design, but it's got 800 fill in it, and it's a lot more fill in it, a little bit heavier weight because it's got a couple ounces more down in it, but it'll go colder, and I like that set for everything. And I have what I call a heat seeker and a hot shot, so two, cold weather quilts. But I rarely take them. So,
yeah.
As a matter of fact, my brother was so into being an out Sweeney that he was in. I shouldn't say that about him. He's going to listen to this. He was weight conscious. No, that sounds bad. That too. Anyway, he was ultralight, and he was getting into a 3/4 quilt, with just a pad under your feet, if just needed. So it was when he was doing that I was making a couple 3/4 quilts, and I doubled that up with what I call just my 40-degree hot foot quilt, and that became the heat seeker. Kami and I designed it. She was working as a barista, and I was sitting there having coffee at a discount.
Got a good deal. Deal.
And she and I drew up that design on a napkin, and that one was a lot of fun because it has almost zero waste of material, and that one's been actually is a top seller still, I think, because it's a favorite.
Yeah, so. I remember when the Costco down throws came out, and people were doing a lot of things with them. I made a couple of the top quilts with them, and you're right, they were really nice. Like for us down here, it could almost be, well, in the grand scheme of things, it could almost be a 4-season in Florida. But really light. It looked like I destroyed a flock of ducks the first time that I did one, but I mean it works.
Yeah.
My first one was pretty ugly, but it was very functional. Very functional.
Yeah.
I've done some of the I want to say like the Gemini quilts that like there was that design that went on hammock forums where you were using clues and things.
Oh yeah.
I've made one. I've never actually added the shock cord to it. I've just added the cam snaps and everything else. Yeah. I don't know. Like I like the idea of I think the idea and the execution of the clues are really cool, and I think they totally would work. But the reality of it, I just imagine I'm going to tangle this into this big knot, and I'm not going to. new thing. No.
Well, I have to say, it's funny, Mike's sewing, which is not, I wouldn't call it sewing much at all, but my mom sewed tons and went to craft shows and stuff. And she passed away actually before I started doing this. But my mother-in-law, I went to her house. I didn't have a sewing machine. I went out to her house and said, could you help me make this hack that's online, for making the top quilts from the Costco quilts for my son for Christmas. And to make a long story somewhat shorter, my wife said, well, you can't just make it for your son because you got to make it for his girlfriend, and they got to make it for your daughter because you can't give Josh something you don't give Cammy, and then she has a boyfriend, you got to give that. And I was making myself a set, and then in the middle of making it, I'm coming home with them. She's like, well, I'd like a set. So I had 12 pieces up, top and under quilt, and so 6 sets. And my mother-in-law, taught me how, and she's very nice. She was probably going to sew them for me when I came with just Josh's. And when she saw me come in with all the Costco quilts and everything and all these patterns drawn out and stuff and what I was going to do, she's like, let me show you over here on this machine. And I took that machine. She loaned it to me. And it's really funny. That sewing machine lasted. It's not dead, but I sewed probably 4,000 quilts through that thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I took it several times to the shop to have it tuned because the way I sew is not not correct, apparently. So when I went to buy my first sewing machine for real, I was having trouble with mine. I took it in, my mother-in-law's, and I took it in and I said, yeah, the timing's off. I learned enough that was the problem. And I said, I have no idea how to fix it. And when they say do quilts with it, they're like, well, this is not the thick enough needle for quilts. I said, no, you don't understand. I mean light. It's different quilts. It's not the same. They're thinking grandma's quilt.
Right.
And so they take me over to the machine. They're like, you really should get this. It was like $3,600. You don't understand. I don't think I need that. And she goes, well, tell you what, why don't you want to try it? You can. Well, I had some quilts due, orders due. I had 3 of them due. I brought them in a box. She said, come in tomorrow, Saturday morning. You can try it all the time you want. I said, okay, I'll test it. I said, you'll see my quilts aren't what you're thinking. And I sold shamelessly. I sewed 3 of them right there. I was there for like 2.5 hours. And the ladies are like, you can't lead it through like that. I'm like, it's slippery. You can't, you got to let the dog foot, you can't do that. It won't grab it. Well, then you just need a top feeder foot. It doesn't work. You can try. So yeah, I still don't do it the way I'm supposed to, and they're appalled. So yeah.
But you must be doing something right.
I know,
it's
right?
working great now. Yeah, I love it. So nobody's really. I can't. I'm surprised how many people say, on the reviews, so many nice things and say great stitching, and I feel like I'm kind of like a B+ at best.
I was fixing to say.
Great stitching.
I was fixing to say I was looking through like on your website and on Etsy and everything where there's reviews and everything, and it's all excellent reviews. All 5-star, 4 or 5-star reviews.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I got to the total now is back at 5 stars. I hate it when a little bit of the star disappears. But I've had a couple. You always have a couple wild hairs in there. And one guy said a few years ago, this all has to be falsified. There's no way these can't. There's too many good reviews. But they're all legit, man. They're just right. If you make decent gear, people are really glad. And I'm sure you saw. Paul, from some of the reviews, they're just glad to get inexpensive gear or
exactly
where they're not paying a fortune for it. So
yep. And then I saw the video that Rob Pelton done.
Yeah, he's cool
with the review and everything, and he had nothing but good stuff to say. So
yeah, and that was early on. I love. Have you seen his Peru Monte Picchu?
Yeah,
he had a three part.
Yeah.
I want to go there.
Yeah,
I wanted to go there before that, and so I was really glad to see. He does such a good job of I think of showing kind of real life.
Yeah.
The whole event. Not that we other people in videos don't, but you show piecemeal, and with Rob, I feel like you get a real full picture of everything that's going on.
Yeah. Rob's his videos are awesome. He was one of our guests. What?
A couple weeks ago,
2-3 episodes ago, something like that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, cool.
So,
must have been right after that then, that hike. Almost. Well, when he published it anyway.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
when-
I think
not
so.
when he
Yeah,
went,
because he had just published the that hike and everything. So we actually talked about it during the episode. So
yeah, he's got some cool stuff. I'd love him to get some of my new gear because I know he's got a hammock gear quilt that's just about like my Hot Shot, but
yeah.
I'm totally out of those right now though.
Sounds like a good problem to have.
Right?
It is a little bit, but I just can't get going on them again until fall because I just got too many. It's spring rush time. There's spring fever. Everybody's buying a quilt right now. So,
well,
lightweight ones.
If you've already said that you're going to try and make it to HangCon coming up in January, when you come, make sure you bring. Are you wanting to come to set up a booth?
I haven't decided, honestly, Paul. Like I said, I started in 2015 or 16 doing quilts, and I got pretty serious in 2000. I don't know, call it 18 and 19. In 2019 was so busy and so good. I think I had about 10 sewers, seven or 10 sewers, depends. I do a little system so everybody's kind of independent on it, which is nice. So they all sew to different levels.
Right.
Everybody's got their specialty that they like doing, and they all have a reason they want to do it. So some of it's so they can buy more gear.
I'm sure they're getting good deals.
Yeah. But anyway, it was stellar, and honest to goodness, I was gonna quit my actual job and do it 100%. And COVID, you remember the supply chain problems?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
It hit hard, and I didn't mind really, because a lot of times I stopped for a couple months just so I could vacation through the summer and hike and do whatever with family. And but it was 6-8 months of that year didn't do anything because I couldn't. There's nothing to sew, and that just shut it down. So ever since then, related to HangCon, I've called it hiding. You may have noticed I just started posting again on some of the hiking forums and stuff.
Right.
Just some either odds and ends I have or extras I have or things I'd like to sell or something new. Like I did some overstuffed
I've seen you make
ones.
some recent posts on my Facebook group, the Hammock Hangers Flea Market Trading Post.
Yep.
I've seen you make some, post some stuff up there here recently, which I thought was
I had
cool.
the overstuffed ones and people kind of snapped those up. And I put the blankets on next because I freaking love those blankets. But
well, I think if you decide, when you come to HangCon, I think if you decide to, set up as a vendor, you bring as many quilts as you want, you'll probably sell out of them.
Really? Holy cow.
Yeah.
I want to say Jacks Are Better came, actually all of our vendors do really, really well. But Jacks Are Better came this year with 75 quilts.
Wow.
And I bought the last 20 degree from underquilt from them, which was a display model.
Wow.
Saturday at about 1 or 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yep. So.
Yeah. It scares me to sell that fast, that many. Yeah.
Yeah, we were thrown away just how well that they did. Now, granted, it was kind of unusually cooler this year, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, when I get anything that I do special, and I hate to say I do special because I try to stay away from it. I always print the label so I can write what it is in particular.
There you go.
I got 3 of those laying out here, just hanging over my head like an albatross. Because I don't want them sitting more than 2-3 days,
Right.
So special stuff usually takes about 10 days anyway.
Gotcha.
Order to get it out.
Now, whenever you say
how long
special
does it take
stuff,
you to sew one of your quilts?
I do everything in batches now, so I don't know anymore. When I could do a heat seeker top. I used to say in about an hour flat, but I do them in batches because The heat seeker, just like, well, the hot foot, I don't know if you know, when you made the lightweight one at Costco, the hot foot has that long side, which I scooched the down into it, so the foot box has the more down in it.
Mhm.
And then I double up the base, so it's a hot foot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And that's just a one layer sewn through quilt. And the heat seeker is layered up, so I have to take two quilts, and I use the cutoff from one under quilt and a set for the heat seeker's foot box. So I have to make a set.
Gotcha.
And the way it works is I make two tops and an under quilt, and one of them is a ground dweller. So
Okay.
they're always done in sets. And one of the guys that sews the most for me, probably, it's funny, his main thing that he does is reupholstering boats. And so he's quite the sewer and has some serious machines, but he just uses a little machine for this,
Right.
compared to his
Gotcha.
monsters. And
Gotcha.
yeah, he got into the whole batch system, where I'm like, that's a pretty good idea. So
I know you've mentioned the hot foot and the heat seeker. What are others that you make? What are all the different top quilts, under quilts, all that, and then because you make blankets as well, correct?
well, I don't make the blankets. Those are what I make my stuff out of.
Oh, okay,
So-
okay, I gotcha.
The starting from the basic lineup, I guess, goes, I figured it out, and there's like 12 different things that we make. But so the basic one is the lightweight, it's under a pound for the hot foot, and that's the top
Okay.
quilt and under quilt. And then the heat seeker is next, and that's layered, and it's a 20 degree. And that rating really comes from everybody saying it. I don't want to say any degree rating that I figure or calculated. It's just what everybody in the marketplace says. So you'll see reviews where people brag that's lower, and I get a little skeptical on those. Like, you must be hot blooded. Don't tell me you took that sucker down to 0, because I've been on the banks of Lake Superior and I needed another layer. But yeah, so I mean, that's the two that I had at first, and then and people asked for warmer at the time, and then I did a special edition, I called it, and that's with the snaps and the gathered end, because people wanted to lay out like a regular
Okay.
blanket. So special edition has that, and then somewhere in the mix, people ask if well, can I use this on on the ground in a tent? And because of the journey I'd taken with my brother, getting ultralight and going from a tent myself, I don't need to tell y'all that a hammock is so comfortable after you've been hiking. I mean,
Yes.
if you need a break, you hang your hammock, you sit in it, or you lay in it, and you're just like,
Yep.
oh, my back, this is wonderful. It doesn't matter the weather, the terrain, the time. You hang that hammock, you're gonna be happy.
Mhm.
And so I made a little bit of fun of them. I called it a ground dweller. I'm like, well, if you're gonna be a ground dweller, I'll make you one. And so I started putting loops and straps on them to attach to a sleeping pad.
Okay,
and-
so that's what makes it the ground dweller. It has
Yeah.
extra loops and stuff. Okay.
And wider.
Okay.
So I made it flares out at the top, and the reason it does that is just after using them a little bit, unless you're a small person,
Right.
or if you move around a lot, it's just nice to have that draft protection so that it you don't roll over and then cold comes straight in. Yeah, so that the ground dwellers got developed, and then everybody wanted a ground dweller in a special edition. So I've got regular special edition, ground dweller special edition. I've got a regular top quilt, and I've got ground dweller top quilt in both the hot foot and heat seeker. And then people started saying they wanted a 0 degree. So I think it was just last year. I ventured into 800 filled down, fully baffled, 0 degree top quilt, and I've just finished, like you said, the prototype one, or the showroom of the under quilt, which I'm really happy with. And for the fall, I'll do a bunch of those again. So I'll have the 0 degree ones again.
Okay.
But they're pretty nice. They're like 80 inches long almost, and they've got a draft baffle, full of down, which is
Gotcha.
the only one that has that. It's got the mylar dots on the inside, so heat reflection on the inside.
Do you feel that helps? Do you feel that the Mylar helps with holding in the heat?
I hate to be like the person to claim it. It's like claiming it's a miracle drug on stuff. You know, I do feel it helps, absolutely, and it is. I prefer, like I said, my go-to set was the one with the dots rather than without, because I had both sets
Gotcha.
at the time, and I always use the other one.
Okay.
So, yeah, I feel it helps, but I'm not sure it's measurable. You know, I don't know how you confirm it, and it's all in how you feel about it personally. I've kept, so what happened, of course, we all know it because we all cried big tears when Costco quit having the quilts. So I basically, it was pretty funny. My brother, even my older brother on the other side of the state, he would go when I saw they had a bunch and buy a couple pallets of them.
Really?
And yeah, and I'd pick up all I could over here, and I was driving up and down the state, and I got up. So the most I was getting, I think, was $6,000 worth of them. So just tons of them. And then they quit, and it's totally done. And I was getting them from all over, the interwebs, like I mentioned, Dillard's, and finding other places and getting some cool other quilts, which was fun to venture out and get some different stuff. But I finally had to go to the company in China that made them for Costco, and ended up getting from a relative of them. So the company I get quilts from now, his brother-in-law was running that company. I can't remember the total number. It was a ridiculous amount of quilts, and I don't know why they quit making them. Because you can't find down quilts, blankets, like I've listed. Yeah. You can't find them. You used to be able to pick them up. I mean, forget Costco for $20, but you used to be able to pick them up other places. And from everything, and I'm sure all cottage vendors would agree, the costs of down have just kind of gone up a lot. And so I think that, retailers that were selling things at a lot less, maybe getting them super cheap, like you mentioned, for hotel rooms, but I can't buy them anywhere even near what we used to get them. So I'm buying huge quantities, and I'm not getting near what I could pick them up at Costco back in the day, which was only 8 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. But anyway, that's where I get all my stuff. So that's this.
Okay.
These are the blankets that I make the things out of. So this is pre-making it out of them. And all of those are the green ones, the blue ones, the gray ones. They're all ones I make into the quilts. And then these are for my heat retention ones, these have the shiny.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, with my little logo there, which my daughter designed that logo.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice. It's very original. Like, it totally works. I really like your logo.
Yeah, thanks. She'll be happy. We trademarked it. I just got it trademarked into last year.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Which is a big process.
Yes.
It's actually a big process.
Yes, it is.
And it costs a little bit of money.
Yep.
But it wasn't so much that as the time. I mean, they the U.S. Patent Office, or Trademark Office rather, posts it for 6 to 9 months to see if anybody disputes it.
Really?
And
okay.
Yeah. So there's companies, lawyers that are specialized in trademarks, and so I paid them a chunk of money, and they do the registration of it all, and they do the research to see if I'm infringing on any that are out there, and then they come back a report with anything that's close. And there's virtually nothing, because it's called a chakra. I didn't know that.
I didn't know either.
Yeah, this is for surfing.
I knew it was for surfing, but I thought chakra was something else, I guess.
Like Peace Man, like this one. Dude, I don't know. Anyway, she got this one. This is the blanket and the little dude, and the family's named the dude, but it's a secret. We're not sure when we're going to release what his name is, so we might have a contest on that. But she then designed everything else, because people couldn't tell the quilts apart, or they'd ask, and I'd have to ask them what they had. Like sometimes they'd ask a gear question or something,
right?
And I spend tons of time just in that time when I was about to quit my job, I was the one that was, shipping and chatting with everybody, and the books. That's all I could do. I couldn't do anything else. And that's when I just said to my wife, I'm like, it actually takes me about 3 to 4 hours to box things up a day. This is getting insane. So she designed all the other labels too, like the hot foot label with the flaming foot and the
okay.
heat seeker. The heat
With
seeker's little binoculars.
Yeah, the binoculars with the flames.
Yep, it's a
Yep.
guy looking for it. And the hot shot's a silver bullet going across. You know, like I told her I wanted something like the Wile E. Coyote days. You know,
There you go.
the cartoons, Looney Tune cartoons from when I was a kid. So yeah, that's where she's done all of that. She went to college in Northern Michigan, Marquette, so
Okay.
NMU, and she went for human-centered design. So she's a design person,
Gotcha.
and it like the teardrop and stuff. It comes really easy to her, which is nice and a lot of fun. So I was pretty proud of that. I have her listed as my top marketer. So.
So it sounds like you do quite a bit of camping on your own when you do get the time to go away.
When I get the time, yeah.
Yeah. So what's your favorite style of camping that you are able to do?
Style? Like hammocking as a style? Or
I mean, as far as like you said, you canoe camps, you do
car camping,
camping, you
hiking.
do hiking.
Oh, I absolutely prefer the hiking. I love it. I've joined my brother on a couple. I did it. The Kruger Challenge was that canoe trip with him, and we had just a ground tarp cover, you know, not a tent, so it was super ultralight because it's a light canoe and you're paddling 100% of the time trying to go fast, and then you'd stop and sack out, so it wasn't like you traveled with a lot of gear. That was ultralight, but I really prefer the hiking and stuff. I'm lucky enough that I got a friend that lives in Switzerland that I've known since my 20s, and gone there a lot. And hiking through the Alps is the absolute best. So, and most of that is stopping at what they call them a Rani. It's a cabin, a Rani.
Okay.
I hope I'm saying it right, but so you just stop at a Rani, you know, either one that you rent, or like the one I think it was owned by the ski team that we went to last. I think I had a picture on my Facebook for a while of that one. But it's just epic there. It's epic. So hiking in the mountains is incredible, and I've loved it. I like going to the Grand Canyon, and I don't like going super arid places. You know, if I'm gonna camp, I want a hammock, so I prefer to have some trees around. You know,
Right.
so out west was not, you know, the best for that. We teardrop the first time we went out, and it was with my daughter and my wife. We did tent camp, you know, so because you know we weren't into it hammocking at the time as much. It was 2013, but also because there's no place to hang, you know, really. So yeah, I prefer hiking and then carrying my hammock and going like that. So
Yeah, the first out west trip that we did, my family did the tent. We had this huge monstrosity, but I actually did it with my Tensa stand at the time. So yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. I still have a very large tent. I don't know why I'm keeping it. It could go. It could go.
Well.
I'm never going to use that thing again.
I think
I try to
own
go
one.
out. I did just get a hot tent this last year actually, and my son and I took it out and tested it, played that around. I wanted to get out more with the ground dweller setup really, because I haven't, you know, I feel bad I haven't used it a lot. I just heck the first bunch I did 2017 is maybe when I started those. I'd never slept with one on the ground really, and you know, so people say, well, you probably know. I'm like, no,
Actually-
because you should be in a hammock. You should be in a hammock,
It's all concept.
not on the ground. But it's, you know, it's nice, and I love the idea of a hot tent. Again, Robert Pelton did a couple neat videos on it this
Yep.
winter. That
Yeah,
were
we have a
pretty
lot of
cool.
friends that get into them, and you know they go all out. It seems like a lot of work. It's a
It
lot
sure
of
does. Yeah, even his videos made it look like a lot of work. And my brother's got a big old sled, and he's into it. And my son is into it. He's got, you know, he was out here, and I was the one that encouraged him to test it and got the tent and everything. I'm like, well, if you're gonna do it, let's do a couple trial setups and see what you're gonna do.
So, if in your travels, if you could hang anywhere in the world, what would be some of your top places that you would like to end up?
Well, I don't know if I necessarily be hanging, but like I said, I'd love to do Monte Picchu. That would be pretty epic seeming. Did seem kind of crowded after watching the video, but I'd still want to go there. I'd love to go back and do some more hikes in Switzerland with my friend. That could be more possible with, for a little bit of free flights and stuff. So
Right.
Definitely makes traveling options a lot easier.
yeah, it sure does. My son and I went out to North Carolina. And that was a lot of fun. So I'd probably go back there.
Where in North
Um,
Carolina?
Oh shoot, I think it was near Greensboro. Is that right?
There is a Greensboro. Yeah.
I think. But I did that right when he was graduating college, and so I can't remember exactly where it was. But it was great out there, and there's plenty of trees, so
Yeah,
that's good.
absolutely.
Yeah, and then the other places, for where I'm in, West Michigan. I don't know if we really went over that, but I'm in West Michigan. So the UP, when my daughter was up there, Upper Peninsula, it's really some of the best places to go, and I would love to get back there and go there more. And with her up there in college, it kind of took you there naturally, and she loved hiking and camping, and so we got out a lot. And shamefully, we've been back like twice since she graduated, so, and that's been 3 years. Now, granted, a lot of things have happened the last few years, but yeah.
Minor details.
Yeah.
Details.
But I think that'd be the biggest, actually. Out of all the epic places, I would love to just get to the UP again and hike that some more. So I haven't hiked the Iron Mountain area at all in the UP. That would be pretty good. My brother has. I think I'm just gonna follow my brother's footsteps. It's easiest. He makes all the plans. Actually, that's a lot of the hikes I did when it was just the guys. You kidded around about when your family's in Disney, but a lot of the times Andy would just contact me and say, "Hey, I'm going for a hike. You want to go?" I'd be absolutely, because what that meant was he'd planned it all. All he'd have to do is give me the GPS coordinates, and I have to come with enough food and gear for myself.
There you
There you
go.
go.
I don't even have to know where I'm going. I just go. I loved it. I'm sure he knows that that's what I did. So, yeah.
Well, speaking of food, so what's your favorite meal, either on the trail or while you're out camping?
Man, that's cheating, because some of the long hikes that we've done, my brother, again, he's doing the crazy long hikes. The best meals after you've gone way too many miles and you wind up in town and you can grab some pizza. I mean, nothing makes Little Caesars taste like it was made by a god. Like being on the trail doing way too many miles for a couple days. I mean,
Right.
jeez. Oh yeah, that was nuts. He has a friend, it's a friend of both of ours, that I don't know why Jason ended up. He's in Germany. He's in the music industry, and he was here visiting, and he really wanted to see Andy because he went to school with him and whatnot. And Andy's like, "Well, I'm in the middle of this like 100-mile hike," and he goes, "But my brother's probably going to join." So I rode with Jason, if I remember right, and took him to the trail. And that poor sucker, after flying all the way from Germany, must have hiked 3 days. And when we stopped, it was Little Caesars Pizza, and it was awesome.
Pizza is pretty good when you're out on the trail. There was a couple places on the AT that you're able to make a phone call, and they put menus up at the little phone booth or whatever, and you can call like the Pizza Hut or that was one near Partnership Shelter. And then I remember one place in New York, inside the shelter they had menus, and you'd pick up the phone and call them and order. And I don't know where the driver would park, but he would park somewhere along the side of the road or whatever and come down the trail with the pizzas, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, my brother used to call that trail magic when you'd have special food that could brought in all of a sudden. So
yeah,
he loved it. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, but I mean, if you manage to sneak in eggs and bacon or a steak, that's pretty darn good. I love that. So we've had that.
Yeah, I can relate to certain things that I would eat out backpacking that I just wouldn't eat on a normal basis. Kind of like Spam.
Yeah.
Like it's just something about it. But like on the trail, like when you're hiking, like that Spam single, a little bit of mustard. Oh man, it's really
wow.
good.
That's pushing the edge for me.
He won't eat Spam, but he'll eat Scrapple. Do you know what scrapple is?
Don't be a hater.
No, what's scrapple?
It's
It's a delicious processed meat that Paul hates.
We just don't know what type of meat it is. That's the only issue.
That's irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
No. It's yeah. It's I could probably tell you it's all the leftover meat that they know they can't sell legally in a store and yeah.
To dogs.
Yeah.
They can't use it for dog food. So. I've had a lot of ramen on the trail. There's a lot of neat things you can add to ramen and eat it. So a lot of that. It's certainly easy.
Yeah, I was just watching a video here probably about a couple hours ago. Chef Corso, who does a lot of backpacking meals and kind of jazzing things up, his channel is really dedicated to creating your own meals and getting away from like a lot of the processed stuff.
Mountain House or anything like that.
Yeah, the Mountain House and things along those lines. And he did a video where he was showing all these different crazy things to do with ramen. So, yeah. He's another one that I'd really like to get on our podcast. Chef Corso. If you're not,
that'd
you're
be
not
a great thing. Yeah. No, I got away from I used to do those when I was first going out hiking, tons of the Mountain House or similar. And as a go-to, I always packed Tums because it was just killed me every time. And that I finally gave up doing it. I'm like, this is going to do me in. I can't take it. So
I think there's a lot of more options now. Because I remember when I first started seriously, like looking at meals, like Mountain House was really the only one that you could easily get.
Right. No,
you're right. Because you can get them at any Walmart or wherever else.
Yeah. Yep. Like crazy. So.
Yep.
Yeah. I count on my brother to lead the way on all that stuff. He's awesome about it. Of course, when he's winter camping, he takes a cast iron pan and really does it up right.
Oh. Gotcha.
Which I cannot believe. He's so ultralight. I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's different. It's on a sled. It's okay. Like, it's cast iron. How can you even say that and take it on the trail? That's impossible.
Like the cast iron weighs more than your entire summer load.
Exactly. Yeah. It's way more than all the quilts in your hammock, your tarp, everything. No, at that point he's got a hot tent that's the bomb. So. Yeah.
So, what's your favorite season to go out camping?
I love it in the spring and the fall. When the bugs aren't bad. So that's always good. But I'll go anytime. I haven't gone a lot winter camping. Like I said, I was just getting into it, and we did up in the UP, which was crazy. Had the epic Lake Superior hang, but spring, summer, fall's it, and I really like the spring and the fall, so I miss all the bugs. So mosquitoes are just out here. They're quite healthy now. I think they shipped them in from Texas.
Yeah, we were out from a couple weekends ago, and we didn't have too much trouble with mosquitoes per se.
That was this past
we
weekend.
We had yellow flies.
Okay.
It was crazy. We also have these things here in Florida called no-see-ums.
Oh, yeah. No, I know what those are. Yeah.
Which, growing up in Virginia, we didn't have them. So I just thought they were just some imaginary or just some marketing name that they would put on bug spray. And then I moved down here and I realized that they are the demon love child of a gnat mosquito. And they're horrible.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I actually have a picture of my brother in a hammock on a sailboat, and there's black fly, I guess they're, I don't know, Lake Michigan flies. They're big flies. They take a chunk out of you. They're not horse flies. They'll take a chunk out of you. But I just thought it was funny that the picture I have of him on a really big sailboat is sleeping in a hammock between the forestay, I guess you call it, and the mast.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah. So that's typical him. That's pretty good. So he even made his own sandals. Do you remember what are the shoes that went over all your toes that were popular for a while?
Oh, the Vibram of the Five Fingers?
Vibram, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So right when those were getting on, he went way past that and made what my family called Jesus sandals. So he made these handmade leather sandals, and that super long hike he hiked in those.
I've seen a lot of people hiking the what are they called, the Chakas? Chaka sandals?
It's amazing.
So, I've also seen people hiking. One of my trail brothers from when I ride down the trail, he hiked the whole trail. He's actually done the trail twice, and both times he done it in a pair of Crocs.
In a pair of Crocs, jeez.
The entire
I love
AT.
taking those. I love taking Crocs just on my pack. That's just like
I take them as a
pop out of your
like,
shoes.
camp shoe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
absolutely.
no,
As soon as you get there.
And he had some. They were like a light purple, and I mean he just done the whole trail with them.
Yeah. Occasionally I'll try to go to Myers or something with them. My wife just goes, no. They're right here. They're comfortable. No. Okay.
Yeah, I remember. I forget exactly what connection that I had with this group, but there was a group of people that would show up on my Facebook feed every once in a while that were really big into just barefoot hiking.
That's crazy.
And I'm just like, no, that just sounds painful. But apparently it's supposed to be really good for your feet. Maybe not for my feet, but good for somebody's feet.
I don't know. The trails can be kind of rough everywhere. They're not that great in Michigan. I'm not sure you'd want to do that. So
after almost stepping on a pygmy rattler a couple times on the floor.
Yeah, no way. Yeah,
good.
Florida, I'd be done with that. Yeah. So
well, I have some Paul's favorite segment of our podcast is my weird and unusual questions. They won't be too hard.
They're not hard. They're just a little ridiculous.
All right.
if you could have a perfect concert lineup, who would be your 2 opening acts and who would be your main act?
Oh no, you're killing me because you just hit my Achilles heel. I'm not into music at all.
Oh, okay.
I almost done this. My wife loves it, and I can't stand it. So we go camping or we go on a trip or anything. I want to hear the outside.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear that silence, and she wants to rock out. I will have to say that I if you're gonna play music for me, I'm an '80s child, so I love '80s music.
Okay, awesome.
I'll listen to almost anything.
Absolutely.
From there, Yeah,
that's the main thing I listen to.
Yeah,
I
all of
have
it.
serious.
It gets better every year.
I have, don't it?
Yeah, it does.
I have the Sirius satellite in my car for that one station.
For that one station.
One station.
I can depend on Google when I'm sewing. I'll tell Google play 80s music. I always do.
Yep.
So when you are traveling, like when you would go out on your teardrop or when you're making long road trips, are you more of a podcast listener or are you just kind of zoning out?
Zoning out. I'm there to listen to nature and the sounds around me or talk to the people I'm with. I might have a little bit of a I don't know what you call it, sound issue person. So like if you leave the fan on, heater or vent in a bathroom, it starts to get me. I'm just like, I gotta go shut that off. It gets on my last nerve. And if there's a bad sound in the car and you're driving and it's repetitive, classic. The kids drink things like this, rolling in the back or sitting in the side, going tunk, tunk.
Yes.
Tunk. Yeah. So I think I have issues with sound. So I like nature. I've never had a woodpecker or a deer bother me with noise. I think they're interesting. So. We've got coyotes around here. We have coyotes. I think it's so cool. I'll go outside and be like, "Oh man, that's awesome," because they talk to each other.
That is so funny because I'm pretty much the same way. My wife and I would be driving down the road or something, and I'm driving. She's in the passenger seat, and I start hearing something. And I keep turning around. And I keep looking, and we'd get to a traffic light or something like that, and I'm turning around. She's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I keep hearing this noise back here." I go, I'm trying to find it so I can stop it. She goes, there's nothing back there. I go, there is something back there, and it is driving me nuts.
Yep.
And
we
get to where we're going.
And go to the bathroom, and she'll come out, and you'll be like, aha!
Yep.
I found it.
Yep.
After having played instruments for pretty much most of my life, one thing that I cannot stand is wind chimes. Like I can't stand because they're all out of tune, and I'm just like, stop! I know it's not quite right.
Yeah.
I've heard you sing, AJ.
Yeah, actually.
I've heard you sing, and that I can guarantee you the wind chimes are probably more in tune than you are, buddy.
We're not buying that tune.
I say play instrument. Well, I do sing too, but I can't sing too much. Different strokes for different folks, Paul.
There you go.
Let's see, going on to our next one. If you could have a superpower, what would it be and why?
You're right, Paul. He asking insane questions.
I told
That's
you.
crazy.
I told you. He ain't done yet either.
I don't know, Mr. Incredible strength so I could walk longer, hike longer. There you go.
Right.
I don't want to just keep going. Just keep going.
And here's Paul's personal favorite. What is your favorite holiday film and why?
Oh, jeez. Probably A White Christmas because we watch it all the time. Or
Okay, all right.
or Elf. Will
Oh.
Ferrell, you know.
Now, see, I was on your side until you said Elf.
Drastically different films.
The Elf one, if it makes you feel better, is my wife's, Paul. I did that for her. So
I cannot stand.
she cries every time at the end when they sing and the thing flies over.
Look,
Every time.
My wife loves Elf, and I've told her, I was like, you can watch it all you want. I am leaving the room. I can't stand Will Ferrell. I hate the man.
Okay.
I hate Will Ferrell. I will not watch any Will Ferrell movie at all. But she
Bob
loves.
Newhart, doesn't that help you in the beginning? Bob Newhart, he starts out, you know.
Oh, God. I seriously cannot stand that man.
Yeah. No, I get you. I get it. Yeah.
All right. And what is one thing that you are deeply grateful for right now?
Right now, geez, my entire family, you know, their health and they're doing well. I've got a family member that's not, so it certainly makes you grateful for everybody that is. I got a grandbaby that was just born a year ago. She's adorable.
Oh, awesome.
Charlie, yeah, she's out on the trails like crazy. No kidding, my daughter's just moved. She's moving to Blandford, a place near Blandford Nature Center, and she's got her on that trail. Every other day I keep seeing
That's cool.
Snapchats and things of that. And
Yeah,
she's
cool.
got another one on the way.
We took our daughter camping for the first time at 5 weeks.
Did you really? Wow. That's epic. You crossed the line for everybody there.
It was at Disney, so I mean, camping is a very broad term, but
It still counts.
We were tent camping.
5 weeks, it counts.
Yeah. And honestly, I have 2 kids, and it was my other child that was the issue that particular trip. My daughter was fine.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Imagine that.
True story.
He's just like his daddy.
Just like it. Yeah.
Carbon copy. So, tell us, what is your scariest night that you've ever been either in a hammock or just out camping?
Scariest? I don't know, man. Maybe when it was epic and scary at the same time. It was that time I was out. I'm pretty sure. Well, my brother and I were definitely there, and for some reason we got someplace late, and we had to hike where we were gonna, hang our hammocks and camp, and we were just hoofing it through the dark and barely able to see. Only had one headlamp for all 2 or 3 of us. I can't remember if Jason was there with us at that time, but that was pretty creepy. That was fairly creepy because you just didn't know what you're gonna fall off from. So, yeah, that was pretty epic. I guess the other one would have to be hiking in the mountains. Can be kind of scary. I haven't done Angel Pass out west, and they just made that so it's permit only.
Oh, really?
Because they have several people. Yeah, they have several. My son just was there again. Well, I was there in September with our friends, and we didn't do Angel Pass, but it was permit at that time. So
Okay.
those are scary. If you don't know Angel Pass out in Zion, it's a very high, right on the peak trail. It's got cabling along some parts, and when my son did it, he said there were people just in a fetal position that couldn't go on, and he's like, "Yeah, you got to get out of my way." That's you, Casey. Yeah.
I think I might get motion sickness looking at the pictures here.
Yeah, he did a lot of
the
the GoPro shots, and they were something else. And I got a little. I'm with you there. So, yeah, I'm not afraid of heights. I'm just afraid of falling off them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The heights aren't bad.
It's not really the falling; it's that sudden stop at the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that gets you. So.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, that's definitely crazy questions.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes my obnoxious segment of my question.
Yeah, they're just random. I don't know. I mess with AJ. I mess with AJ every week on it because it's like, okay, this is a hammock podcast, and you're asking about music and superpowers. Okay,
You know,
let's go with it.
we want to know the whole person.
Yeah.
Hey, little known fact. Did you know where the North Country Trail headquarters is?
No.
You're familiar with North Country Trail?
I think I've heard of it.
It's like from Minnesota. I think it's 2,600 miles total. Goes all the
Okay.
way up through Upper Michigan, and then
Okay.
yeah, the headquarters is like 5 miles from where I live.
Really?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I said I'd hike the North Country Trail and Manistee River Trail and Fife Lake Loop, which are all Michigan hikes in western and northwestern Michigan, and so a lot of that is the North Country Trail, and I'm currently 3/4 of miles away from the North Country Trail, which interestingly my son and I have gone out there several times to hang gear and test it, and I even have a video on it, I think, with a green underquilt, and my wife is in the hammock at the time. So I was talking about how to hang it, hang the quilt for folks, and not having too much sag. But it's kind of fun to be right on top of the trail that goes that far, and the headquarters. Yeah, and the headquarters.
That would be awesome.
It's fun that you can you have that access, and also you're aware of that. I kick myself all the time. I went to college in Southwest Virginia, and even played music at one of the old mill, which is in Damascus, Virginia.
Okay.
Never had any idea about the AT.
Didn't even know you're right there. Yeah.
None. Now, granted, hiking wasn't exactly
top on your list
by radar at that particular stage in life, but yeah, I mean, I kick myself now that I had access to all of that, or just trail days in general. But had no idea.
So you didn't know that Damascus was part of the. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and say it. Part of the Appalachian Trail.
I hate you so much. the only trail that we knew around there was the Virginia Creeper Trail. So we would take, because that is a paved trail, but I mean, it goes up, but we would take bikes, and we would bike from the top of White Top Mountain, and we would bike into Damascus, and then we would bike from Damascus down to Abingdon, but had no idea that this whole AT thing was there. Man.
That's funny.
Hindsight.
That's funny.
I didn't know that you could ship to. When I started doing it, I didn't know they could ship to like stations along the AT or the John Muir Trail.
Mm-hmm. The JMT.
Both of those I've shipped many times to, and like I said, people message me all the time through Facebook and stuff, and they'll be like, "Hey, can you do this? Can you do that?" And yeah, I've had a lot of people on the trails that are like, "I need gear now. How fast can you get it here? I don't care about the color."
Yeah, there's a lot of places.
For people that are coming from a lot further away, like yourself, or even at the Midwest, they've asked us about sending their gear in for HangCon, because the carry-on luggage fee is, for some airlines is ridiculous, and we just ship it. It's a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah,
it's a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah. Well, 50 quilts would be 50 pounds. That's one bag right there.
Right.
Yeah.
And you sell a couple, you might be able to pay for the carry-on fee.
Yeah, that's right. I'd have to sell two to pay for one. That's right.
That's funny.
Or worse, it's like these are on sale because I'm not paying for the fee to take them back.
Oh, Lord. All right. Well, it's been about an hour and 15 minutes so far. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But before we do, what are some of the places that people can contact you and see your stuff? Like your website, Instagram, what all do you got?
I've got, Instagram and Facebook both, but and people message me through Facebook a lot, but really Etsy and my website are the two primary selling places.
Okay.
So, the Etsy shop's easy to find. It's ranked like number 2 when you try and search on it. So,
okay.
But hangtightshop.com is my webpage.
Okay.
And they can get stuff there as well. So,
okay.
When I've got it, it's listed on there, and I keep the sold out things visible so people can ask, but sold out as a wait list.
Yeah, I'm looking at your Etsy shop right now, and for those that are listening, if this doesn't tell you something a little bit about Hang Tight, they have for this one quilt, They have 740 5-star reviews, and 100% of them are 5-star. You don't have any 4, 3, 2, or 1.
I don't even understand how that's possible myself. It's like 700 happy people. You never mind that. I can't get my family together to have them all happy. So.
Well, since you're on the Etsy site, AJ, look at how many of the quilts and stuff people have in their shopping carts.
Yeah, it's like I said, you're doing something right. You are doing something right.
I'll tell a little secret here for everybody that happens to listen to this podcast. If you have it in your shopping cart and you go back, it'll give you 5% off. So it's kind of it'll send you an email too saying, hey, you could have 5% off if you come back. So I just turned that on about a month ago.
There you go.
Etsy encourages it. Yeah. So that's a sneaky thing. So that means if you're thinking about buying, you could go in, add it to your cart, leave, then come back.
Right. Well, I will
it's like ordering a beer and then walking away and then coming back and say, I do want that.
Well, I will put all of the links in the show notes and everything, so people can just go and click on those links and go to it. I always like having the guests say them also, though. That way, if somebody is looking at it on YouTube or whatever, they won't see the actual show notes. But so the links will be there for anybody to go to. But now I have one last question that I always ask all of our guests, and that is, what would be 3 tips that you would give to somebody new that is just starting into hammock camping?
3 tips. Well, I think the first one is watch a couple YouTubes on how to rig your gear. It's not that hard, but if you haven't ever done it, a lot of people will not set up their underquilt right. You'll have a few people that will buy top quilts and even say, I get cold easy, so I want, a heat seeker or a 0 degree, when you or I might have, something much lighter.
Right.
But then they'll buy no underquilt. They'll actually go out with none. So for those that are doing that, watch a couple. Yeah, I know you shake your head, but honest to goodness, my brother called me a gateway quilt. So he said, it's people that are just getting away from a sleeping bag, and and that's the other thing, I guess, is if you're a ground dweller or you're using a sleeping bag a lot, you think I've got to be enclosed or zipped up, and you don't. So again, watch how to rig your gear, see what a quilt does for you, see why it's open and more comfortable for you, and that's really important. And the second tip I'd give them is just, you give yourself layers. You give yourself layers of clothing, so do the same thing with a quilt. If you think that, I'm not sure if I'm going to be warm or not, take a 3/4 quilt with you that's really small and take a full length quilt. Now, doubled up, that's basically what a heat seeker is. So do the same thing. I'm not saying take every quilt in that you got hanging on the rack. I see all your packs on the wall. You don't take all your gear, but somebody that's just starting out, you don't really know. And I guess my last tip is the same thing. Don't plan a trip on the AT or anywhere else without setting your gear up in your backyard or someplace close. You don't have to spend the night. You can just try it for an afternoon, lay in there. It takes some adjusting to tweak it in so that you're comfortable, and you're going to be, because you don't want to go out there on a 3-day trip or longer and find out it's wrong, and then even think it's the gear. Now, I don't mean just hang tight gear. Be just like, I don't like hammocks, because you will like hammocks. You just need to know. Some people string them way too tight, the hammocks themselves. They need know not to do that. A certain angle and a slight diagonal is the best way to lay, things like that. So there's lots of stuff on YouTube, and it doesn't take 20 minutes of watching to get a few tips.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I can totally agree with every one of those. So, yeah. All right, Steve. Well, it was good having you on, and thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And
we will look forward to seeing you at HangCon next year.
Lots of pressure there. Jeez. I might come in stealth mode. If I'm selling out everything, I'll come in stealth mode.
There you go. So, again, thanks for coming on, and hopefully we can have you back on sometime in the future, just to chat some more.
All right, that'd be cool. Thanks a lot.
All right, everybody. Well, make sure you check the show notes, and I will have the links to all of Steve's, the website, his Instagram, YouTube, Etsy, Facebook, all those. Make sure you go and you follow, subscribe to his YouTube, check out, go to his website and the Etsy site and check out his gear and everything. Follow the Hammock Hangers podcast on our Facebook and Instagram. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next week, happy hanging, everyone.